Hey, hey, hey. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What's happening? How y'all doing today? Happy Wisdom Tip Wednesday, Wealth Building Wednesday, Hump Day Wednesday, all that good stuff. Hey, this is your boy Eric coming from the blank spot. We're located at 224 O'Neill Court, Suite 26 and 27. That's Columbia, South Carolina, 29223. As you jump on, do me a favor, drop your city and your state, like, share, tag, hit somebody. This is a subject, a topic that everybody needs to know about, but a lot of people are avoiding this subject, this topic. If you're out there on Instagram, listen, we're trying to get our Instagram followers up. Maybe I need to look at some things on my Instagram to make sure I got everything situated, my SEO and all that stuff, but I'm going to work with that. But we've been successful in creating a YouTube following. So thank you to all our followers and subscribers on YouTube. Make sure if you happen to see this, if it happens to go across your YouTube screen, make sure you subscribe, because we don't only talk about crafting and sublimation and tips. We also talk about business, which is why we're here today. If you're out there at Facebook, make sure you like, share, and follow. We also have a private Facebook group. You can look us up, the Blanks Spot Sublimation Group. You'll see a pink background. It's a private group, but it's a safe space for you to actually post your work, ask questions, get tips, and some inspiration. And then last but not least, if you're out there on TikTok, because we've also been somewhat successful in building a TikTok, and we're still building a TikTok platform, make sure you like and share and tag somebody. Follow us on TikTok. If you are a business owner, if you are looking to build your business, if you're looking to understand how business works, guys, we got to understand that it's more than just making money. Hence is the reason why you see the topic. If you don't see the topic, why selling is not enough. Why just selling is not enough. Now, we for some reason, I don't know why, well, I do know why. I'm gonna just cut to the chase. Check it out. I know if you have heard anybody talk about financial education, if anybody has mentioned financial literacy, you've heard people say, you know what, finances are important. Business is important. You know, we were taught to go to school, make good grades, get a good job. That's a song that we sang, and it's not a good song because that's the song that we followed. But I want to share something with you as to why I think that most people are not successful in business and why selling is not enough. See, from a very, very young age, we are taught buyers, consumers talk. See, it only takes about 15 seconds, a 15-second commercial for our mind to make up our mind whether we want to buy something or not. It goes from the age of preschool, and I'm gonna get into that really quickly, but the age of preschool all the way to high school, graduating, and even into college. We're taught to be consumers. We're taught to buy. And that's a dangerous thing because our mind is very powerful. And what we believe we can do or what we cannot believe we can do, we are right. So if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. Well, back in 1965, I think it was Lyndon B. Johnson created the preschool. Okay, and you guys can go back and look it up. But he created the preschool, and as you already can see my skin tone. But he didn't create and I say that because a lot of people associate low income with people of color. But he created the preschool for low income. And that didn't just affect people of color. That affected everybody who fell into a low income bracket. And the whole idea for that was to have a half a day. This is what the idea. This is what they're saying. This is what they told people, to have a half a day of education for the preschoolers, for low income individuals. And I guess so people can actually work longer hours, work a job, whatever. Maybe work 2 jobs. Well, it affected us in more ways than one. It affected people who don't understand how money works in more ways than one. And that education that's shared in the educational system, in the school system, is that of If you want a good job, if you want to earn a good living, if you want to live a good life, that you got to have a lot of money. You got to, and in order to have a lot of money, you got to go to school. You got to make good grades. You got to get a good job. You got to go to college. You have to have a degree. I don't know, y'all. Some of y'all out there, and I was one of those some of y'all's out there still believing that hype. But then as time changes and things go on, we begin to see some of the things that we were taught were not absolutely true, were not necessarily correct. We were taught, and I want to use this in the form of, because the next thing that I say is probably going to step on some toes. I want to use this in the form that, so you understand that the education system, as we know it, as we knew it then, and as we understand it now, the education system does not have your children, did not have our children's, did not have us, our best interests at heart. See, the education system is designed to create workers. I'll say that again for the people in the back. In case you don't believe me, the education system is designed to create workers. Even back in the 1930s, after the Depression, or during the Depression, when they created taxation, and they were taxing our income, the government realized that as long as we had people working, and as long as we can pimp people out, I said it, pimp people out, and as long as we can get people to work, and then we can tax them, then we can run the country. We can pay the politicians, all the way down to your local government. It really irks me. It really bothers me that we, not everybody, but we are so easy. We're so easy to believe what people say. Somebody said Job Corps. That's correct. I believe, and let's touch that for a minute. I believe that instead of going to a 4-year college for underwater basket weaving, for underwater welding, for, just something outrageous, I believe that we should have a skill set first. If that career that you are pursuing does not necessarily need a college degree, well, why are we sending our kids to college? And then on top of that, why are we sending our kids to college with no plan as to how to pay it back or how to pay for it? You're right. Tech schools as well. You gotta have a skill set. You have to develop a skill set. And they did that in school. They took that out of school. Remember, we used to learn about electricity, to be an electrician, carpentry. We used to learn mechanics, woodwork. We used to learn home economics and things like, we used to learn that stuff in school. Then they took it out. So that's all I'm gonna say about that right now. Okay. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate the interaction. I appreciate it. What I do want to touch on is this, all the way forward, because now things have changed. The economy changes. Inflation is affecting us immensely. It's affecting our money greatly. And what happens is, because we are taught in an institution that teaches us to go to school, make good grades, and get a good job, or because we understand that the only way that we can learn something is in that traditional type of environment of education, sitting down in front of a teacher, and hey, no hit on the teachers, but somebody's gonna feel some certain type of way if they happen to look at this. But if they listen to it, they'll actually understand, because oftentimes some of the teachers, not educators, it's a difference. Some of the teachers are part of the problem, because we're following a lesson plan, because they're just doing a job. They're going to school. They're going to school to work a job to get paid, and I get it. But here's the problem: as we look at our lives, as the economy unfolds, and as we worry about or concern ourselves with how we're going to make our ends meet, what ends up happening is we fall back on what we were taught as a young person in school. And that is, if it's not coming out of a school textbook, if it doesn't have if that person doesn't have some letters in front of their name, if it isn't followed by a degree, then it doesn't make sense. And those are the things that we got to get out of. So now we're talking about finances, actually personal finances, and we're going to start talking about some business finances as well. You have to understand, guys, selling, if you decide to become a business owner, let's say you were affected by the financial and economic downpour when the economy started to take a turn. Let's say you were affected by that over the last 2.5 years. You had a nice job, you were living in a nice house, you had a nice vehicle, you and your family were living nice, and then all of a sudden you got laid off from your job. That's when you realize that the job is not yours. That's when you realize that you need more than one stream of income. That's when you realize that, having a job by itself is not necessarily a blessing. It's what you do with that job. If that was you and you decided to start a business, whatever business you decide to start, whether you decide to go out there and start a lawn service, whether you decide to go out there and start washing cars, whether you became an all-around crafter and this making and designing things, a creator, whether you decided to start making just t-shirts, and for the people who are out there making t-shirts, stop telling people you got a t-shirt business. Be a little bit more creative. Think about it. Call your business something, but just don't call it a t-shirt business. You're disrespecting yourself. You're better than that. You're more than just a t-shirt business, okay? I just want to give y'all that. You're more than just a t-shirt business. You're a designer. You're a creator. If you started a business during the pandemic, then I want you to understand that you have the ability now, you put yourself in a position now to play the game. Understanding the rules on which this country was built is way more important than going to school, making good grades, and getting a good job. Because that person that went to school, that made good grades, that got a good job, nobody told them what to do with the money that they were going to be earning from the good job that they were going to get. And nowadays, you already know, most people are graduating college or they're graduating from some type of course and they're not getting a job. And if they get a job, they're getting a job at a fast food restaurant. Nothing wrong with that. But is that the field that you decided to pursue? Is that the career that you wanted to have? See, somebody told me, and then I read it, and then I started to listen and understand it. It is easier to continue to lie to someone, and it's easier for them to believe that lie than it is for that person to believe that they've been lied to. I'll say that again. It's easier to continue to lie to someone, and it's easier for that person to believe that lie than it is to continue, than it is to believe that they've been lied to. Because see, if you believe that you've been lied to, then now you begin to question all the decisions that you made. And who wants to live in a world to where they question all the decisions they make? Nobody wants to go back and say, I made a mistake. But now the economy has hit more people than ever before. I mean, I wasn't around for the Great Depression. And I know anytime an economy starts to spiral, people begin to panic. But I want you to think about something. If you have a job, if you're working, if you're trading time for money, if that's what you decide to do, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to have a plan and a strategy for your money. See, what happens is we are working for our money, but we're not understanding how to make our money work for us. Now we're in business. Had a conversation with two young ladies, two business owners over the course of the last 72 hours. One conversation was, how do I get started in business? Not even understanding that you're already in business. From the time that you signed that contract on the dotted line and say, yes, I will work for you, even before that, you're already in business. See, we're in business, whether we want to call it a business or a side hustle under the table, a side gig, a side thing, something. You're in business whether you believe it or not. You're either in business for yourself or you're in business for somebody else, but you're in business. It's just the side of business that you're on. And that person was like, hey, well, how do I get started? Right here. Everything starts in our mind. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, either way, you're right. Once you make up in your mind that you're going to do something, nobody can change your mind. Nobody can persuade you or convince you otherwise. But you first have to understand why you need to do something. So you started a business. And now you have to understand what all comes along with starting a business. It ain't just selling. The other conversation I had with a young lady was about straight up personal finances. Everybody wants to make that million. Everybody wants to be that multi-millionaire. And some people even want to be billionaires. But my question to you is, if you cannot control the little bit that God blesses you with, how can you expect God to bless you with more? Meaning, in layman's terms, if you live in paycheck to Monday on a job that you consider that's paying you a decent amount of money and you're earning a good living, if you can't control that money, then what makes you think you're going to be able to control 10 times that by starting a business? Because starting a business allows you the opportunity to break that ceiling. You can explode. All right? You can explode. Now I'm trying to stay on topic here, man. I want to stay on topic because I don't want to sound like I'm rattling or complaining. But I do feel it's necessary that we're educated. Now, people talk about financial literacy, and that kind of bothers me. And the reason why it bothers me is because the term literate means that we can either read or we can write. But understanding what we read and write means that we're educated. So you got a lot of people running around talking about, hey, I teach financial literacy, or you need some financial literacy. Yes, you need to understand terminologies. You need to be able to understand how to apply. Financial education is what we need. And it starts with our personal finances. Even if we start a business and we don't understand our personal finances, once again, how far do you think we're going to go in business? The expression robbing Peter to pay Paul. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's amazing because we have learned through the educational system to repeat what we hear, regurgitate what we hear. We're not really learning. We're just memorizing and regurgitating. And it's sad in a sense, because now what we have is people who are conditioned and who are groomed to be and to live a certain type of way. And then what happens is we create other people. We create little people. And then that conditioning and grooming is passed along to those little people. I'm guilty of it. My wife and I are guilty of it. We did that for years. It wasn't until I was 42 that I was even introduced to a system that showed us how to improve our personal finances, and that actually encouraged us to start a business. But now you got a business. Now you have a business, and you have been convinced, you have been persuaded, you have been finagled into believing that you can do exactly what you see somebody else doing. Man, that belief, man, is something, it's powerful. I see people in the crafting industry all the time who have these well-known names, and they are talking about their story. One young lady's running around here talking about how she was homeless. One guy talking about how he got it out the mud. Somebody else is talking about, how they were single parents and they had a job and they worked their way through school and then started a business. All that is great. That's fine. That's inspirational. But you will never find, and I need you to understand, you will never find someone being able to motivate you more than you can motivate yourself. Your situation should be your motivation. Look at your bank account. Look at your investment account. Look at your personal finances and look at the decisions that you made over the years. And if that is where you want to be, if you're exactly where you want to be, great, fine. You can just erase everything you heard from me. But if you're not where you want to be, if everything you've done up to the point where you are right now has not gotten you where you want to be, then you might want to start looking at some different strategies. Because as a business owner, to be successful, you got to have strategies. I heard somebody say, well, knowledge is power. That couldn't be further from the truth. Knowledge ain't power. I got people that I speak to on a regular basis that hear what I say, or at least I think they hear what I say. They may even write it down and take notes. But until you start to properly apply that knowledge, it is never going to be powerful. It's never going to be powerful. A weapon is only as powerful as the person that is using it. And knowledge is a weapon. Money is a weapon. It's a tool. It's only as powerful as the person that is using it. Think about it. Knowledge is not powerful. It's the proper application of knowledge that's powerful. For everybody who sees this, do me a favor. If you're finding some value, you know what I'm saying, throw some likes up there, throw some shares, make sure you share the information, make sure you follow it. I'm telling you, this is something that I learned in a short amount of time, but it took me years to learn it because I had to unlearn bad taught behavior. See, nobody wants to be told that they're wrong. That's why when you start talking about money, when you start talking about finances, whether it's personal or business, people do one or two things when you start talking about money. One or three things. If they don't understand money, if they don't understand finances, they'll start up and down, like they'll agree and smile. Yeah, yeah. That's fake, man. They may put their head down and they may withdraw from the conversation. You lose the whole conversation. I remember we had a class, one of our first classes that we had here. I gave a brief overview of personal finances, and somebody was sitting in the front, close to the front, and I started talking about personal finances and how important it is to your life, and that if your personal finances are jacked up, then your business finances are going to follow. And that person just, before I started talking about anything, they were looking. As soon as I started talking about that, they grabbed their phone, put their head in their phone and start looking down. And I could see that they were disconnected. The other thing is they're either gonna agree with you, like they understand, they're gonna get disconnected, or they're gonna join in the conversation. If they join the conversation, they're either eager to learn and understand, or they have some valuable things to add. Most probably. But I want you to understand something about your business. If you're thinking that you can follow him, her, she, they, and think that you can have the same results as him, her, she, or they without having the right strategies, you're sadly mistaken. Ain't nothing gonna manifest. There's nothing that's gonna be successful until you have a proven strategy that works. And I thank God, man, that I was introduced to a group of people some years ago that actually shared with me and my wife about some proven financial strategies. And from there, we began to improve our personal finances because I was in the dump. Credit score was jacked. My personal credit score was jacked. Debt was up to here. No investment account. And I don't even want to talk about an emergency fund. And I didn't have a business. And if y'all paying attention, those are five things that I said. About four things that I said. But I didn't know. Because I was taught to go to school, make good grades, get a good job. Didn't want to do that, so I went to the military. While I was in the military for 22 years, rarely, I'm talking about rare air, did anybody talk about finances. They talked about money, but didn't talk about finances. And when they did talk about money, they talked about addition. They never talked about exponential growth. They never talked about multiplication. Now we're in a different realm. We're in a different lane. Now, after being taught how to buy stuff our entire lives, how to be a customer, a consumer, to eat up everything, now we decide that, hey, listen, we've been out the game, or we never got into the game, and now we want to be in the game. We want to be in the business game. And the business game says, hey, you know what? Taxation, if I understand taxation in the business game, I can live a virtually tax-free life. I can take those tax dollars and I can start to manipulate them to where I can actually grow a business. I can build wealth. Once again, when you start talking about lowering your taxes, when you start talking about messing with the IRS, when you start talking about taking control of your income, it's called income taxes for a reason. When you start talking about that, the ignorant people, i.e., not knowing, start to spew out and repeat things that they've heard. Don't mess with the IRS. Don't talk, don't mess, don't, taxes are American. Wealthy people should pay more taxes. I want to be wealthy, and I want to use the same rules that the wealthy people are using, and that's to legally lower my taxes. Businesses put you in a position to be able to do that. See, it's not just about selling products, because if you sell, and I've said this before, if you sell $1 million in products and sales, you first have to look at your overhead. How much was your overhead? People out here bragging about how much money they're making on sales. And you got to not be impressed. You got to stop being impressed about people flaunting money, because that draws attention. Building wealth is silent. Money talks loud, but building wealth is silent, because you're in the background applying strategies to your life. You're in the background just saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this strategy to create more capital, more financing, more funding, things like that to put towards my business. It's lots of different things that you can do, but it's some key things as a business owner you need to know. The first thing you need to know is that business is real simple. And all you need to be successful in business is 3 things. That's it. I got this directly from my business mentor. 3 things. You have to have an idea. With over 340 million people in this country, everybody has an idea. You've either had an idea at one time in your life or another, but everybody has an idea. So the first thing, you got to have an idea. The next thing is you're going to need some money to make that idea work. We need capital. We need financing. We need that in order to be successful in business. A lot of people don't have that. And when they go back and reach for the finances, they're reaching into the pocket, in the right side pocket of where they're supposed to be using that money to take care of their family. That's their job. They're using that job money in the wrong way. Okay. And I'm just going to say this in the wrong way, because you can use your job money to build your business, but they're using it in the wrong way. But you need an idea. You need to have financing, but you also need to understand how business works. And it don't matter what kind of business it is. It can be me going out there and sweeping the parking lot. It could be me spraying a house down. I got to understand how business works. And that is the downfall for most of the people that I see on social media platforms, on social media, following the wrong people, copying the wrong cat. It's okay to copy people as long as you're following the right people and you're actually putting your spin on things. But what we end up doing is we end up getting attracted to the money. We get attracted to the things, to the bling, to the cars, to the houses, to the clothes. We get attracted to the hustle, the under the table type stuff. We get attracted to the top layers of stuff, and we never get introduced to the back end of business. Business, man, you got to understand how operating your business, your finances, understanding the tax laws, record keeping. You got to understand how investing back into your business. You got to understand how your business needs to be a legalized, registered business, that you need to build some credit for your business and your business name. You need to build business credit. Those are some things that you need to understand in business. Everybody ain't going to make it. Everybody can, but because we are accustomed to doing what we have been taught, And I can hear somebody right now that sees this that says, you know what? Well, it's not our fault. We would stop. I'll be 50 this year. How does it look as a 42, 43-year-old man some years ago, 7, 8 years ago, saying that, hey, it ain't my fault? When we going to start taking responsibility? See, we cool with taking the credit for being successful, but we don't want to take the blame for not being successful. We got to surround ourselves around people who are going to pour into us, not just people who are going to tell us half the truth and then give us a whole lie. We got to get involved with people who are going to teach us the back end of that business. I see people all day long talking about how to start a t-shirt company. And I'm not saying that they're not teaching the back end of that business. What I'm saying is you who want to start that successful business have to inquire about it. You have to pay attention when they start to teach that part. You got to pay attention. Because it ain't about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. Amber wants to know which one is better, an LLC or a DBA. I would definitely say an LLC is better. And then I want you to go and do your research on the lettering, what the abbreviation LLC means and what DBA means. One will protect you and one will brand you. And I just want y'all to know something. I am not the expert on everything business. What I am is a business owner who has done his research, who has failed in some areas, and who's willing to share with other people on how to build a better business. Limited liability company, doing business as. So what does that mean to you? Limited liability means that there is a barrier between me and my customers. There's a barrier between me and my customers. So that means that if I provide a product or a service to my customers and they're not happy with it, or that product or service does something to them emotionally, physically, mentally, then they can sue me. Doing business as means that they can sue the person if you don't have an LLC. Suing that person as an LLC, they're not suing that person, they're suing the business. It's almost similar. And if I could break it down to you, it's almost similar to having full coverage car insurance on your vehicle. Or, and I guess that's a bad example. Let's say that you didn't have any insurance on your vehicle and you go out there and hit somebody. They're coming after you. But if you have that insurance coverage, that limited liability, then that means that it's limited and there's so much stuff that they can do to your business. You have insurance that you can actually fight for you to cover a claim. If someone comes into our store and they slip and fall, we have insurance. That means that they're not going to sue Eric and D. They're going to sue the blank spot. The blank spot in turn is going to file a claim with their insurance company. The insurance company in turn is going to say, okay, how much are the damages? They're going to take care of the medical bills. They're going to do all those things. Doing business as, and it depends on what state you're in. It depends on what state you're in. Certain states won't even allow you to do a DBA. So I hope that helps. But definitely do your research. Research more on what is going to be better for you. But I definitely recommend that everybody that is conducting business, whatever you are selling or whatever you're telling, if you're conducting business, I definitely recommend that you have some type of insurance. You're welcome. You're welcome. You definitely need to have some type of insurance because people are so happy. But you want to make sure that you start to understand the back end of business. Selling is not enough. Because if I go out there and sell a bunch of items and I make a bunch of money from sales, I still got to pay my platform. Let's say I don't have a website. I'm only selling on Facebook Marketplace. I'm selling on Instagram. I'm selling on Etsy. I'm selling on TikTok. I'm selling on those platforms. They still going to charge me an overhead. Then I still have to pay for the items that I actually purchased. That's overhead. I still have electricity costs. I have gas costs. I have shipping costs. That's overhead. So I didn't make $1 million. I sold $1 million worth of products. I may have only kept an after taxation. If I don't understand that I can write off a portion of my expenses, I can write off meals, business meals. I can write off business miles. I can write off my travel, my business travel. I can write off certain things that are, and that's just my cell phone uses for my business. I can write off my internet uses for my business. I can write off portions of that. If I don't realize that, and I go to a tax professional and they say, well, you can't write these things off, then I end up having less money. My overhead goes up. We want our overhead to go down. Those are the things that we have to understand. Selling is not enough. And I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and this brother came on and he said, I'm not gonna promote anybody today, but he said, instead of telling somebody that the street life is not good for you, instead of telling them that, or instead of telling somebody that somebody's bad, instead of trying to expose somebody that they're bad, be a good example and let them follow that example. I hope that makes sense. It's a lot of different things that we look at. We following the wrong people, man. I'm telling you. And I ain't saying I'm the right person. I'm just saying that I know for a fact that we have value to give. Some things that you want to think about, and I'm going to leave you with this, okay? Everybody gets up and goes to work for two reasons. They get up because they have to make enough money to live today, take care of today's expenses, lights, water, food, clothes. But they also get to go to work or start a business or work a business because they have to understand that one day they're not going to be able to work. That is retirement. And if your money's not working for you today, then you will never be able to retire tomorrow. So that's two reasons why we get up and go to work or go to a business. But there's five things that stop us from accomplishing those two goals. Inflation, you've seen it at the gas pumps. High taxes, debt, guys, credit, and then big business. Inflation's doubling by every 20 years. The average person that's working a job, they're overpaying taxes to the tune of 80% of people are overpaying taxes. So they're losing anywhere between 25% to 1/3 of their money because they understand taxation. They're going to replace that money that they're losing in taxes by getting into debt. That's another 25-30%. Because your debt is high, your credit scores are low. That means you're paying high interest rates. And then big business has gotten us on the TV. They got us on social media, on the radio, all this stuff. And they're singing jingles about getting our money. That's where the last bit of our money goes. So you got inflation, high taxes, debt, bad credit, and big business. The solutions are very simple. Learn how to manage your finances. That means that you have to learn how to legally lower your taxes. If you have a job, you got to learn how to legally lower your taxes on your job. You got to learn how to minimize your expenses, unwanted things that you don't need. You have to learn how to minimize and eliminate your debt. And you have to understand how credit works and then repair your credit and use it wisely as leverage. That's just your personal credit. Then you want to start a business because as a business owner, what happens is this. You now have the ability to do, as a smaller business, you still have the ability to do what larger corporations are doing. That's pay less in taxes. That, because see what happens as a person that has a job, they go to work, they get taxed, and then they get what's left. They get paid what's left. But a person that owns a business, their business works, their business pays for all of its expenses, and then the business is taxed on what's left over. That's why it's important. But we got too many people who are playing the under the table game, the hustle game. Since when has hustling become so acceptable? Hustle is not a good word. Hustle is a word that was associated with pimps and prostitutes. Just being real. And the last thing you got to understand is that you need to make your money work for you. Exponential growth, multiplication. Whatever investment that you decide to invest in, whether it be real estate, whether it be the stock market, whether it be cryptocurrency, whatever the case may be, I'm not the expert on that. But I will say that we have helped several families to position themselves on how to become more financially stable on the way to being financially free and wealthy. Because strategies in the business has to have a strategy. Selling is not enough. You got to have those components that go along with that selling, because it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep and how that money works for you. My name is Eric, coming from the Blank Spot Academy. You can go ahead and hit us up on our YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're going to see this video again. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. I'm doing little 10, 15 second blurbs about money, also about crafting, but about money and how the business thing works. Instagram and Facebook, guys. We have a private Facebook group if you want to know more of how to turn your finances around in your personal life and in your business, so your business can be more successful. Hit me up and I'll give you the formula. We can do some work together, but you gotta make it up in your mind that you want a legitimate, real business, not a side hustle. All right. And watch out who you follow. Ask questions. Watch their actions. Watch what they're saying, what they're doing. And most of all, listen to what they ain't saying. Because 9 times out of 10, the person that's not telling you something means that they don't understand it and they're definitely not doing it. Located at 224 O'Neill Court, Suite 26 and 27, Columbia, South Carolina, 29223. Like, follow, share, subscribe. You guys take care. I appreciate it. Hope you got some value. I'll be talking to y'all soon. Peace.